Welcome, Kenneth.
Thank you.
Very exciting to have you here.
Yeah,
I even got a haircut for today so that we can actually look super sharp and be ready for today. Let's just jump right into it. I think it could be really interesting to hear a little bit more about you, your journey, and why you are so excited about AI.
So I have an interesting bio. I actually have an engineering background, and that's also why I ended up in COWI, because it was really sort of the top of the pop when it comes to engineering expertise. That's where it was especially the big bridges, the world record-breaking bridges of the world that sort of attracted me. But once I got in and got into the field, I actually also learned that that's maybe not where you try out new things that much, because it's also not where you want to make the big bets and so on.
Somewhat a conservative industry as well.
Yeah, so it's a conservative industry, and somehow I quite quickly into my career ended up branching away, doing a career change of career, but within COWI, because it's a big enterprise, 8,000 people almost, and there's a lot of different things happening. So I've been around in the organization for more than a decade, and seen many different perspectives. So even though I started in the business, today I'm the group technology director, and have for the last 5-6 years been fully dedicated to COWI's own digital transformation. And been working from group level and trying to drive that as best as possible. But it's also a huge benefit to have been in the business, have the engineering background, because understanding how those you are trying to transform is working, and how the way of working, the culture, and so on. So I feel like I have many of the benefits of really knowing COWI from inside before changing it from above. Have been really a perfect combination. So my career kind of changed out of AI already got in quite early. I think back it was it 2012 or something like that. Back when Harvard Review sort of declared data science as the sexiest job of the world, and etc. That was the round where I sort of started to get into AI and so on, and still from a business perspective, automating things, and kind of became the machine learning guy that was all over the organization. So I slowly sort of grew out of working with the bridges, but started help all over the place with the AI, and kind of became the machine learning guy you called on. And this was before there was any center of excellences or anything like that on AI like we have today. So that was really interesting.
Before the Gen AI hype.
Way before the Gen AI hype. And back then, when you were a data scientist, you also needed to do the coding. You needed to be the data engineer. You needed to be the cloud developer. You needed to be the software engineer that wrapped it up. You needed to do everything, because as any organization, we ramped up on data science before we established the rest of the value chain you needed to really deliver value in that chain. So a really a broad and mixed profile within the technical disciplines in this area. And in the end, I was such a mess of different profiles and competences that I was better suited at translating vertically and horizontally across. And that's where I started sliding into technology and leadership, and been sort of a change ambassador for many years. So I was the AI lead for many years before Gen AI, heading our at some point we got a center of excellence, a community and center of excellence, which I was heading, and slowly grew. At that point, it was still classical ML. And there was a lot of demystification and a lot of data quality challenges and so on. And then I advanced into sort of digital transformation leadership, and ended up at group level. And I thought I left AI behind and sort of got a broader responsibility of all the emerging tech areas. So we're also immersive visualization and coding among engineers. reality capture, and IoTs and digital twins and all these sort of other emerging areas, and was focusing broadly on those. And the last 3 job postings I had in COWI have been part of our group digital transformation team, where I came in right after digital strategy have been formulated and helped execute on that one. Then with other transformation positions, at some point that unit come to an end, and we had a new innovation leadership team I was part of, where we worked on a new digital strategy and innovation management. And lastly, I now moved into a new unit again, where we merged IT and digital together in COWI, and I'm now sort of part of that new leadership team. Yeah, a lot of years with a lot. So I have come across many different areas, but AI kind of been a theme all the way through. And because of my background and my position in leading the emerging tech area, then when the AI hype really took speed and ChatGPT, etc., came, I was of course in the center of the storm on that one. Been ever since. So all the way from early ChatGPT panic policies, etc., to the strategic elements.
All right.
So
and what's for you personally? What is it that's kind of the most exciting about AI? What is it that you expect to happen in the next 1 to 2 years that will change everything for you or for COWI? Or
personally, I'm really excited about that we have a technology that sort of I truly believe this sort of is one of these sort of general purpose technologies. I can see that this will have a huge impact on my own work as a white collar worker, on COWI as a knowledge organization. So I think I'm most excited about that. I can see this will for sure force and the organization to change. And I'm a person that sort of thrives in those circumstances. I usually when I know my job and sort of get too comfortable, I usually need to do something else because then I get bored. So that's just my personality that thrives in these situations. So personally, I'm quite sort of excited about this change because I like when we need to adapt to something, and none of us, even those of us who's really been following it closely, knows where we're going with this. But I can see for sure this will drastically change our sector and our knowledge work way of doing things. So that's really exciting. On behalf of COWI, I think it's mixed. There's interesting opportunities, but there's also huge challenges, and a lot of things that needs to be sort of handled, and it really very quickly came from. This is some data-driven stuff we do in the corner. We all had digital strategy saying we needed to become more data-driven, and we used machine learning and data management to push that value delivery. And suddenly it just changed over to now it's business strategy. What kind of organization do we need to be in the future, and so on. So I think I found that change happening quite quickly, and it's also really exciting because it's really proper strategy work now, and not just add-on value that you do around the business.
I think one of the things that we also discussed on LinkedIn was the recent acquisition of Conicly by Aecom. Huge upset in terms of like the traditional way of doing engineering advisory or engineering services. What do you think that is what do you think that means for the industry in general?
What it means for it's a big bet. It's a big bit from Aecom, no doubt about that, and it's a crazy price tag that AI startups has at this point. But there's kind of two things in it, and it's I think one is that we all feel the pressure already now from customers expecting that you have generative AI now. We demand that all employers have received the training, have the proper tools, and we expect that you can do less with the same hours.
Yeah.
So that pressure is already there, and customers are already now expecting a price cut because they're expecting that you realize this value add-on.
Can you maybe just describe or give a definition or describe what is it that Conicly did or does that is so different compared to the traditional way of doing things?
Yes, so Aecom had, like anyone else in this industry, a need to prove to their customers that they are AI powered.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a documentation that everyone is struggling with right now. We need to document to the customer that the hours they get, they are AI powered hours. They are highly productive, because it is really challenging our hourly model mindset. And right now, it's been challenged, but we're trying to sort of argue that don't worry, each hour you get are amplified and are AI powered. But that's kind of amplifying the productivity of our hours today. Is kind of, it's gonna be sort of licensed to operate very shortly. So the Conicly is a sort of an AI native startup. They're like 5 years old. And it's a broad area of AI disciplines. It's not just generative AI. They actually, when they started, it was more operational research. So formulate a problem mathematically and put an algorithm in there and find the object, minimize or maximize the objective. Good classical operational research, super mature technology, and that's actually what they used early on to sort of optimize the design. It's also something in technology we use in COWI a lot. And then there's the classical machine learning era, and then the generative AI, and they really Conicly changed. They also started up before the ChatGPT hype, where they were trying to automate. I think it was the mechanical engineers, so ventilation shaft and so on. And how do you lay those out in the office optimally? It's a lot of sort of optimizing the layouts, and they used operational research to automate that. But then somehow in this generative AI hype, like any startup, they branded themselves as AI native instead. And you could argue that operational research is within the bigger umbrella of AI.
Yeah.
But then they targeted this autonomous engineer and say, okay, we want to go all in on being able to deliver this autonomous engineer in the organization, and pretty much sort of honed in on one specific engineering profile, which they had the experience with, and then they tried to build that. And it's difficult to say how much is bluff and how much is reality. But I know that the Aecom did apply the Conicly technology before the purchase and have been fond of the experiences. So they did have a possibility to test it out.
Yeah, so they did some due diligence before buying it for an enormous amount of money.
But we all, I believe that they definitely get the attention. They don't need to prove to the customer that the hours are AI powered. They get that free by getting this huge PR stunt, and at the same time they get started on the sort of the inner workings of knowledge work.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I guess they are hoping that this can change their way of working, their operational model within engineering. But with any purchases like this, it's a completely different culture. Aecom is a huge organization.
Yeah.
It's gonna be very difficult to integrate this, and they are not just having it on the side. They're really trying to embed it into their workflows, their engineering workflows.
Yeah.
But I also think this is what's needed. Big bets. We can see that the industry is gonna be challenged.
Yeah.
And we all need to sort of either buckle down for the ride or do some big bets. And so I really acknowledge them for this brave move, because it is quite courageous move that they just done, and it's definitely something that is close to their core business, and I like that. It's not just automating some processes down in the corner, down in business partners, automated
also generating
tenders,
reports
or bits. It's really they really chose to take something, an AI native workflow and company, and embed it into their core workings, which is their AI within their engineering work. I think that's really cool and admiring to see that they take it right to the core.
Yeah, that's serious. Yeah, there's a lot about rethinking the core business part, right? So you can either kind of just optimize productivity-wise and do things a bit different behind the scenes, but there's also something about actually being like in the front line doing different AI initiatives, right? Yeah. So I think Conicly is probably doing a bit of both. So it's both how can we be more effective in the way that we do things behind the scenes, so in terms of all the assessments, engineering stuff that needs to be done, but then also it's actually being directly impacted and part of your core business or the professional services core business model of setting billable hours, because you can do that in a different way now.
Yeah. We all need to sort of acknowledge that the value of intelligent labor is decreasing.
Yeah,
that's the first sort of acknowledgement we need to come to, and that's really a difficult one. And then we need to we really think hard about, okay, selling CVs by the hour.
Yeah,
is that the model of the future, or are something changing this? And you can either buckle down and be great at what you do, and use AI to trim your cost base, get all your back end lean and mean, and that would position you well in a race to the bottom on price, and you were able to outlive your competitors because you have a very lean back end. But I'm still concerned that it'll be a race to the bottom.
Yeah. How do we avoid that for all professional services businesses, right? Because consulting, as I do, is also challenged by this, right? Because we can also just do things way more effectively, and thereby the prices towards the customers will of course go down. But there's probably still some value-based offerings that can still have a certain high value. How do you think we should approach it?
Yeah, and that's you said it quite well. It is another kind of value-based offering we need to look into.
Yeah,
and I think that our biggest challenge is actually our culture and our mindset.
Okay.
We are so used to having this bottom-up thinking to how we're delivering things, and we don't price things based on the value, but based on the effort it takes. And now we just lost the best proxy for value, which used to be the number of hours that needed to go into delivering it. So how we should go about it is, I think we all need to utilize, have return on investment on the short term. So when we implement AI, we need to a large chunk of it needs to be things that are getting us some return on the short term, and that can be trimming your cost base, making your backend more lean, and so on.
Yeah.
And actually building up capabilities and experiences with the technology, doing something where you actually get a return on the investment. But I also see now, sort of in the early days, right after ChatGPT and the couple of years after, everyone was just exploring crazy, and there was no really return on investment. A lot of learning was built and created, and that was great. And then suddenly things changed. Too many disappointments, probably. And then sort of, okay, now we need sharp return on investment. And everyone then turned to their back end, to the back office, and said, okay, this is easy to formulate a business case down here.
Yeah.
I can cut out these 3 FTEs if I automate this. And on paper, that business case looked really attractive. And then you execute, and then you end up never letting those 3 FTEs go anyway. They find something else to do, and it's kind of you definitely deliver value, but it was actually you didn't capture the value as intended. But it's a very defensive move to sort of. We all know that the more you automate your processes, the more locked in those processes also become. If you trim your support organization to fewer people, you also have less diverse capabilities.
Yeah.
And if you're an organization then suddenly getting challenged by some kind of disruption, and you need to suddenly change from an hourly-based model to another contract form, okay, and then you actually need some extra capacity in maybe in your legal organization. We need to go into new legal contracts and so on. It would have been a shame that you just trimmed and made that organization super lean for what you used to do, because then they don't have the adaptability to help you turn to where you maybe need suddenly to turn. So I think it's dangerous to trim your organization too much for what you're doing right now, because we also know that we likely will be doing something different soon. So I'm approaching it sort of as I really think you need to do both, but you also need to do some fence guarding around the explorative activities. Early on, we did sort of uncontrolled exploration, and people were just building up literacy by testing out different things. Now we need to be a bit more strategic about the exploration happening, but we cannot stop doing explorative things, because either we lean back and wait for someone else to disrupt our way of doing things and then hope we're not too encumbered to follow after fast, or we actually try to explore and ensure we're ready to move. It can be as simple as sort of practicing a bit of subscription-based price modeling over in that corner. Remember when we had the first subscription-based service in COWI, because we also have a diverse portfolio. Some of the first things was of when a customer come, hey, I want to start a subscription, and why do I pay with a credit card and stuff? We can only send invoices. We actually need to do something about our financing setup to actually be able to accommodate that model. So different commercial models, business models, actually have different barriers you need to overcome. Definitely. And we can definitely already now work with those barriers. So we are not, we're ready to change. We don't know where we're going, and that's really interesting and exciting. But we definitely need to gear our organization with this adaptability that we are actually able to pursue something quite quickly.
On the exploration part, you said that you kind of in the beginning you were trying out a lot of different things. You figured out that then some of those things were probably not worth doing. How are you then approaching that now? How are you choosing the right areas to explore?
There's the exploration that builds literacy, and I think we are all still on a journey where we need to make sure that all employees in our organization are moving their AI, are being pushed through their AI journey. Some are walking themselves, some needs a little push, but we need to get them through. And in any learning journey, you need to do experiments. So exploration, sometimes you want the employee to sort of experiment with things. Okay, I could use the technology for this. Does it also work for that? That kind of experimentation we need to build into our mindset, into our culture, because that's a learning culture, and that kind of exploration needs to happen all the time on the individual and decentralized levels. So that kind of exploration should never go away. We need it more than ever. We need to be fast at learning and adapting. So that's crucial. And then when it comes to sort of strategic initiatives, then some of our strategic initiatives are bottom line trimming, back end office optimization, and then we need to fence guard a bit of the strategic activities for exploring new business model, exploring and it's a bit more. It's not on a technology level that we're doing exploration. This is more on a commercial business model process level that we are exploring different workflows and value propositions and so on. And it's like with the innovation management, which we also I've been involved with. We also often work with this sort of 70-10, 20-10, where we do 70% of the innovation is incremental innovation, and then we fence guard 10% of the efforts into radical innovation, where we are really exploring far into the future. And we know this will not give a return on investment right now, but we're really sort of strategic about sort of, okay, what ratio do we want between the incremental and the radical? And I think we need to do the same here. What we need to be active. It needs to be an active choice from management about sort of what ratio are we pursuing this with. We don't want it to be by coincidence that we happen to do only back-end optimizations or only exploration, testing new value propositions. It needs to be a strategic choice, and it needs to be informed by the sector, the market you are in, those markets we are in, consulting and knowledge services. We definitely need a decent chunk of that in our strategic ratio here. That would be my recommendation, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So I think you're doing it the right way of starting with the business problem or the market need, and then you're not going out there saying, okay, where can we apply AI?
No.
You are kind of going the other way around, right? Saying, okay, there is some problem that we can solve, and maybe AI is something else. It could be IoT or extended reality. We can apply that to then solve those different business needs.
Yeah, we have lots of technology on the shelves, and I think I learned that many years ago that sort of you don't want to go around with some technology, and trying to fit it to a problem.
Walk around with a hammer and looking for nails.
We all been there, and we all need to remind ourselves once in a while that this is not how to do things. But I think, as I also said earlier, sort of, it's squeezing its way into this really the highest corporate business strategy level. We need to really think about what kind of organization are we going to be. So it's becoming easier and easier. It's not an add-on strategy that you have an AI strategy here. That's sort of what do we want to do with AI. No, it's a business strategy, and AI happens to be part of that. And I think that really helps a lot, because then you have the strategic alignment towards what the organization needs and wants, and not just a center of excellence is trying to deliver value. You can definitely find areas to deliver value, but you want to support the strategic goals of your corporate strategy here, because AI is part of that, hopefully.
How do you think that the professional services or engineering services industry or companies will change over time? Now it's very hourly based, manpower, that approach. How do you think that these companies will look different in the future?
It's an excellent question, and I don't think any of us have the answer, to be honest. It's very clear that this sector will change, but what it will change into is still unknown for all of us. Even those of us who've been very deep into this, we just see the sort of the status quo will change, and that's why I'm encouraging to sort of explore different things and be agile, be sort of adaptive, because we don't know. It can be it can be this where to start it. We often see digital products sneaking in,
software based.
Not pure software based, but a hybrid between project execution and supplementing products, offerings, digital platforms that sort of coexist with the project execution. I don't believe in this sort of standalone. You also have standalone digital products, but they are. It's also difficult to. We need to remember that it's difficult to disrupt a consulting company, because let's say you have an application that suddenly can do half your work. The consultant will just say, okay, we'll use that, and then we spend less hours on that specific project, and then we do 2 of them instead. So a consulting company is also very agile in the way it can just move away from an area or a service if it's getting automated too much. I think an example is virtual inspection. We had climbers human people crawling around on bridges and so on. human people looking at every single part of the surface and a concrete structure and so on. And today we have asset management systems with AI, computer vision that scans these, and a lot of the work, the hours that used to be spent, have been automated by an application that a service, and it wasn't really a problem for the engineering consultants because we just took that along with us to the customers and added value on top or on the side or next to it, and maybe a few hours wasn't in it, but that's not really a problem. The society have many needs, and there's still enough projects for all of us out there. So as long as there's enough to do, it's not really a big problem that sort of we see that some of our market share or scope of work are being taken by digital services. But we also see at some point that sort of then suddenly the value chain swap. When this asset management platform, then suddenly it's not us coming to the customer with this application and saying, hey, we can help you with this challenge you have here. We will use this piece of software and add this knowledge and deliver the project for you. No, suddenly it's swapped. Then suddenly the asset, the asset management system or the virtual inspection platform or whatever it is goes directly to the customer. And say, hey, we can solve your problem, and they are then automating 90% of the work, and then we suddenly the stupid knowledge workers are just becoming the manual labor for the last 10% they can't automate, and then we're becoming a supplier to the digital native that's squeezed in the value chain above us, and that's the problem. We don't want to have another link between us and the customer. That's very difficult to be a consultant. Then you're just a commodity. And then you're not able to add on value and.
But could you see that happening in more areas now that tools, digital platforms, digital products become a bigger thing and they become more intelligent? That the consultants are being pushed to be kind of the add-on at the end, or kind of the things that can't be automated and the commodity? Or what do you think?
No, that's exactly what's happening. We just experienced a sort of a massive leap in what a machine can do. It's not just the capabilities of machines, but also the type of things they can benefit and chip into. So I think that what you can wrap into a digital service, the potential and the scope you can make that to do is way bigger than what we're coming from. So yes, they are all tapping away on our market share right now, because the scope of what can be automated, what can be sort of intelligently managed via AI, have just grown a lot. And now we're just waiting for them to slowly build those services and extend it, wrap it into a commercial model and tap away. And we then need to choose: are we then just being the agile consultants, just doing something else, or do we want to take up the fight at select areas because this is something we believe we can do better? Or
I think your point regarding the kind of the hybrid model makes a lot of sense, right? So that you actually have some digital products, but you also have the service around it, right? So you come with a full package of like a full package solution that solves the needs of the customer, right? I think, and then the role of the consultant will of course change, because a lot of the bulk work that used to be all the assessment, the analysis, data gathering, going out and doing the measurements and things like that, that's suddenly taken care of by someone else. But then other tasks fall on the engineers or the consultants to do the judgment call. What direction are we actually going? What are the risks, and how do we actually make the right decision? But also the change management, the implementation, those parts where the human touch is still needed, right? I think that's probably where things are moving, or where professional services like COWI or our small consulting company should probably move, right? Come with these package solutions. There will always be a need for the human add-on. So I'm not so concerned that we won't have anything to do.
It's just a matter of how how much you need to move, because the frontier of what can be done within digital solutions are moving quite rapidly. So suddenly we will be out in markets or in areas where we don't actually have that much experience, and then we don't have this strong brand and so on because we're getting pushed too far out. But yeah, so the hybrid is interesting, and then it's also a trend we see among our fellow engineering consultants that sort of product organizations are sort of formalizing around, inside, within, and we're also exploring this hybrid. How does it work? How should it be organized? It is more complicated model. You don't want the KPI regime of a consulting unit to also apply to a product unit. It's a very different mindset. You have the project thinking, the pricing. Every bit we do, we look at the number of hours. What effort does it take in hours? And then we come to the price that way. And we really need to exercise that commercial muscle and get out of those habits. And that's difficult. So it's really a cultural challenge and a mindset challenge of mostly. And we're all practicing that right now.
Do you think the Conicly deal with Aecom is also a way of just kind of throwing a bomb and then just change the culture dramatically, or what? Like, could that be? Because I think one of the challenges for a company like COWI is that you have 8,000 people. A lot of them are engineers doing kind of the way they've always worked, and changing that mindset across the organization will probably take, I don't know how many years. And then someone else might come from the bottom up, being AI native by default, a combination of product and consulting, and then kind of just overtake you on the side. What do you think that maybe the Conicly deal is a way of just kind of changing things dramatically?
So there's definitely a lot of PR. There's a lot of there's many positive benefits directly and indirectly they get out of this. But that's also only fair for the price they're paying. I'm a little bit, culture is not changed by throwing a bomb, but it is something you need to change from within. And often you need to sort of start a subculture and protect it and nurture it, and then allow it to slowly eat the old culture from within. And yeah, Conicly can be that starting culture within Aecom, and with the right protection and nurturing from management, it can grow and hopefully for them end up sort of changing that from their general culture from within. But engineers are a different, special type of people. They are not some are very curious, some are very conservative, and it's not easy to change a culture overnight. I would say it's actually impossible. So it's a long journey they have ahead of them, but they definitely gotten started on it, and I think that's really cool. We also have a lot of activities where we're sort of working with our culture, both just this explorative learning culture, because it's part of gearing your organization for change, in that we gear all our individuals in the organization for being more curious about things, testing things out. I can see it in this generative AI time here. We made a big fuss early on that so we needed to give all employees equal opportunity to get build learning and skills within generative AI, because this is going to be important for everyone. So and we had a lot of we don't want an A and a B team. We need everyone to have equal opportunity and equal access to tools and training and so on. So we get everyone with us on this journey, because it is the augmentation, the empowerment of the individual that that right now is the benefit, and the more we get on this journey, the better. Now, a couple of years into it, and having provided people with equal tools and equal opportunities, equal training opportunities, I still see that sort of an A team and a B team forming, and I'm really sorry to see that the gap seems to be growing, and that's really problematic because we need all our employees to get on this train, and when we dig into it and try to understand why the gap actually growing. First, we thought, okay, it's fine. Some are long on their learning journey. Some are started, and they're all moving in the right direction. That's great, but the gap is growing, and that's concerning. And having looked closer into it, it's not a talent thing. We have brilliant engineers that are stuck in the B team, and we have brilliant in the A team. It's really what separates them is the mindset. There are just people in your organization that are. It's natural for them to experiment.
Yeah,
they get ChatGPT or your internal GPT platform. They try it out. They test it. Okay, didn't work that well for that. Maybe it works for this, and it's just natural sort of experiment,
playfulness and curiosity.
Yeah, they are driven by that. They want to do their job in a better way.
Yeah.
Which is important to remind ourselves that sort of those employees that rush ahead, they are just trying to do their job better.
Yeah.
And they're not out for sort of introducing more risk or something like that, even though sometimes that's often what they do. But this separation in between the A and B team seems to be culturally based, and we need to work with that learning culture.
Yeah.
So, and I really like to sort of look at not treat the symptoms, but try to go to the root of it and say, okay, then we need to work with our learning culture and do more experimentation and
how because I think when we talked about this earlier, you mentioned kind of there is individual mastery versus kind of collective learning. How are you using the front runners and the masters, and then getting the laggards to kind of learn from them in a more collective setting? Do you have communities, or how have you approached that part?
Yes, so
or ambassadors, or
we actually, even from before ChatGPT, we had the AI Center of Excellence and the AI community and so on. So we actually were in a really excellent position. Once this hit us, then we had a group anchored forum where you could ask questions about AI, and you had a Center of Excellence jumping in, asking, and you had the peer-to-peer activity. So and that was a huge benefit early on. It wasn't a little forum down in one business unit that was sharing experiences. It was a group anchored forum from the start, and I think that we were lucky to have that in place early on, and those communities also had their individual budgets for doing exploration and testing, early validation. So having worked with our learning culture and had this community set up in place already was a huge benefit. But much of it is also an individual preference, and that's also when we look at the A, B, and B team, and why is it separating, and why don't we see more of the good experiences from the A team leaking over into the B team? We do have a lot of great A players that are chipping into the community, sharing their learnings and so on. So many of them are doing an excellent job there, I would say, and I'm very proud of that knowledge sharing happening. But the tools we have at our disposal, if it's an internal GPT-based model or ChatGPT or Claude or so on, it's all individual productivity booster tools. If I have a brilliant prompt that I use for evaluating my legal contracts, my fellow colleague don't automatically also have access to that brilliant prompt. Unless you wrap it into an agent but then someone is owning that agent and managing it, and the users are just the users, and we really need that sort of collective. We need collectively to enhance our pool of skills. And I like the approach from Anthropic with skills.
Yeah,
I think that's an excellent way to put it and say, hey,
can you tell me a little bit more about that? What is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a skill is actually just a small key. It can be a function in a tool, or it can also just be some elaboration about how a certain task should be done, and it's then wrapped in a small abstraction with a short description about the skill. And you can have thousands of those, and they're not loaded into memory of the agent or the LLM you're talking to, but it knows just its skills available and the short description of the skills. And it can be everything. It's right now it's used heavily within software engineering, but it's a generic term that you can apply. It can be evaluation, GDPR, scanning of a legal contract or something like that. That could be a skill. And then you have all your best practices, things, prompts, and what to look for, what to be aware of, and all those they are encapsulated in that skill. And it's not before the agents see, okay, you're asking about something. I'll just go and load the relevant skills, and then get access to those skills. And then so it's sort of just in time pulling the necessary skills into its memory. And I would love that we get to a point where we have each of our organization have a collective pool of those skills.
Yeah.
Maybe personas or profiles that they are attached to, and where every time we use it, we somehow automatically go back and contribute to that skill base. And we see that it can be our humans going back in, continuously enhancing the skill base, but we actually also now see that you can get the agents to go back and enhance its own skills base.
Yeah.
So once it applied GDPR scanning of legal contracts, and some legal experts have been using it to evaluate a certain contract, then it can actually maybe it wasn't spot on, and then those enhancements or learnings are seeked back into to the skill base.
Yeah, so you get that collective learning actually. So it based on all the interactions in your company, then it actually aggregates that into the perfect skill for that task.
Exactly, and it's kind of been a dream. We all talked about sort of anchoring all the knowledge of our workers in the organization, and we've done wikis and all kind of things, learning knowledge management and so on. Yeah. And we never really had the technology enabling and making that possible. But it seems like I have a hope for that it might actually be possible now. And I think that would be brilliant, because that would really enable that it's that those good experiences, because our A team are really pushing the barrier and polishing their prompts and so on. But it needs to be more consistently shared with the rest of the organization. Some of them are doing. So many employers have Word documents lying on their desktop with their preferred prompts for certain tasks.
Yeah.
And it's just part of their individual learning journey. First, they learn the pros and cons of generative AI. Then they start to have a repository of their prompts and so on. And I would love to find a mechanism, and we haven't found that. That's the challenge right now, and why we see this things as it is an individual learning journey right now.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult, because some people are just more curious and more learning savvy, and we need to find a way to make sure our B team can tap into that. So at least they don't need to be as savvy, but as long as if they can follow along.
And fast followers, that's nice.
Yeah, fast followers, just being pulled along somehow. But right now, there's no pulling effect. You have someone at front with a higher learning rate, and those at the back, and the gap is just increasing. So we need to connect them with a rubber or something like that, so that they are pulled along. And That on, you need to be really strategic about your workforce planning and say, okay, what kind of profiles do we need? Because we are also probably soon looking into that, okay, people will need to do other things and job roles will be changed and so on. So it's also a brilliant opportunity to be strategic about your workforce planning. Yeah. What kind of competences do we need? What kind of mindset? And should we have these learning savvy mindsets as one of the important skills when we go through these changes in our...
I guess it will come pretty naturally as well, right? So if you have a group of people that are just running ahead and doing twice as much work because they are way more effective using AI, then the people behind will probably also just become redundant or underperform compared to the normal distribution at some point, right?
Yeah.
And then the world works that way, that people kind of find something else to do, either voluntarily or involuntarily, right?
Yeah, it's both in the organization's interest to have great employees empowered by generative AI, but it's also in the individual employees' interest because they appear more productive. And of course, and that's also what's interesting here. It's a disruption that is really something we need to evaluate from a personal, from an individual point of view. And what do I need to change? What do I need to learn to stay an attractive asset for my company? Likewise, at the company going through it, and it's not in the A team's interest to help the B team. Luckily, there's A players doing a lot of knowledge sharing, but it's not really in their interest. It's in the company's interest to make sure A is helping B. And if there's no incentive, then why the majority of A is probably just honing their own skills, connecting with other A members that they can share knowledge with, and so on. So I think that's really a concerning trend. And we approached this really sort of, we actually actively talked about we needed to not have an A and a B team. And we did what we thought we needed to do to avoid that. And now we're just seeing that it's there.
Happened anyways.
It happened anyway.
But I think it's also interesting because asking the A team to actually start coaching the B team will probably just take energy out of the A team, right? So they would probably waste their time, in their mind, on helping others. They could do something more exciting that they are getting energy from. So it's probably figuring out, okay, how something like you talked about, how can we then extract all the learnings that they have without them actually doing anything? So whether it's just automatically aggregated into a learning base or something like that, and then that can be taught on to the B team. Or it could also be that you kind of have some change managers or ambassadors that that are kind of in between A and B, that can then take the learnings from A and hand it over to B.
So the first scenario would, of course, be the dream scenario. And we're probably not going to be there tomorrow, or maybe next year. But so we probably need to pursue both. And you still can do things to get the A players forward. You can empower them with the interesting position. You can make them an ambassador in their department, and getting them. I've seen many sort of rogue shadow AI users, really A team players, but they're also dangerous because they are wielding tools, a lot of different tools, and it comes with a risk profile. But as soon as you sort of give them the formal mandate of being the AI ambassador of the unit or department, and you get them on the beer box and at the department gatherings, suddenly they just change and they are true to your corporate profile policies and
company person.
They really change to a company person, and they get the recognition. You need to somehow to give them the recognition and some of that interesting what they're passionate about. That's also why we have this concept called professional communities, where we're sharing knowledge internally, and this is really passion driven, and the way we get these passionate people to chip in is actually from group level to allow them to spend a certain percentage of their time doing this really interesting things. Here you can explore things. We are funding you. You're getting some autonomy budget-wise, and you can test things out and so on. So we lure them in with exciting learning opportunities and testing things out, doing pilots and so on. What they really think is finds interesting and passionate about, and then at the same time making sure that those learnings are then shared with the community around them. So giving them recognition, having positions that sort of gets them a little bit extra recognition for being that good ambassadors is definitely a way to make the A-team share their learning.
Now, you just dropped in an interesting term called the shadow AI. I think a lot of people know shadow IT, but can you define shadow AI?
Yeah, it's being a old school. I've been a part of that shadow IT movement myself.
Yeah.
So I've been sitting on the business, automating things, doing things for the interest of the company still, making my work better. And then changing into a technology leadership position where I'm now trying to also see it from the risk perspective and balancing things out, making sure they have the right empowerment, but not running unnecessary risks, etc. So shadow AI is when employees take unauthorized, unapproved applications, tools, and use them in unintended ways. So it's, I think, and there's many. It can be as simple as sort of you ban the use of ChatGPT, and then people find a way to do it anyway. I remember, I can't mention the name of the organization, but it was a recognized accountant, big accountant, and they early on in this ChatGPT journey chose to ban and block everything rhyming on GPT, and what they got themselves were shadow internet connections, shadow Wi-Fi access points in the headquarters. So people would just change over to a different Wi-Fi to access, and because people wanted to be productive, because it gets you promotions, it gets you. It's important for your own career, and if you're really blocking people from that, they will find a way. Especially, we have a lot of engineers; they are very capable people.
Good at finding workarounds.
So I think that really served me well as sort of an illustration of if you're too risk adverse, you can actually end up with a bigger risk on your hand. And when it comes to AI and sort of use of unapproved solutions, it's just a symptom. It's a symptom, and we need to look at the root cause. Why they're doing this? Because they are all just trying to do their job better. So why are they using these unapproved solutions? They know they're not allowed to. So why are they doing it? And I can only come to the conclusion that it's lack of empowerment and lack of enablement with the right tools. And it's if I also learned if you make it convenient for them to do the right thing, they will actually go and do the right thing. There's no one who, but if it's really a hassle to do it properly, then your employers are, sorry to say it, they don't give much about your policies.
No.
And many surveys have showed that at least half of your employees don't care about your policy. If they feel like you're blocking them from doing their job properly, they find other ways.
How are you then approaching that at COWI? Do you have very strict guidelines in terms of what tools you can use, or are you loosening up on the guidelines, or how are you approaching it?
So we are an enterprise, and we need to approach it as an enterprise. But no, we never banned. We banned some Chinese mainland hosted solutions and so on, but things like ChatGPT and Gemini, they've never been banned in COWI. Of course, we have strict policies about what data can go into them, because we need to protect IP and customer data, etc., etc. Obviously, I think any enterprise has that, but we never took this saying it's you're not allowed to use ChatGPT. You can use it. There's many use cases, and we don't want to block your access to the bleeding edge functionality because there's actually a lot of use cases that you can still use it for within the policies.
Yeah.
So that was one thing, and it's really sort of an risk. Because it comes with a risk. It also comes with a risk that your colleagues are using Google Translate to translate your group strategies and so on. This risk have always been there, but it's kind of been amplified now.
Yeah.
But no, we didn't want to go too restrictive on the policies, but of course we did what we needed to do as an enterprise. And then on the carrot side, we said, okay, and then we need to empower them. We need to make it convenient for them to do the right thing. That meant we were very early out and said, okay, then we need our internal ChatGPT-like platform, at least for the transition, until we have something more enterprise-friendly. And I think that was quite fast. It was sort of recognizing there, I think it was in May 23. So just a couple of months after the launch of ChatGPT, then all 8,000 people in COWI had access to a safe internal GPT-based platform. I think many enterprises have followed along on that. And looking at it sort of retrospectively, then we actually gave our employees a safe place to play with the technology, because early on it was just playing with it. We provided them safe access half a year before you can even before Copilot, the first beta product of Copilot were released. And many enterprises didn't choose to buy it at that point because of the price tag. And it took another 1.5 years from we launched our internal platform to the Copilot chat got on enterprise terms. So retrospectively, I'm really happy that we didn't hesitate and just got that out as fast as possible, because I think that mitigated a lot of risk, because people were using different tools, but they know, okay, now I need to process this customer report. Okay, I know that I need to go to ai.cowi.com. Here I can process those things. And as long as it was convenient and you automatically get in there and it's not a hassle and it looks like what you're used to, then people don't mind. Then they're actually doing the right thing. Of course, there's a lot of awareness training you need to take them through to make sure they are aware of how to do it, and it needs to be simple and easy to find and so on. So we approached it with a mix, not being too restrictive on policies, but still maintaining the standard that any enterprise needs to maintain, while also empowering them with a convenient way to do it correctly. I think that combo worked quite well. But any organization is a constant battle to keep shadow AI in control. That's how it is. This is a space developing fast, and the A team are fast at adopting new bleeding edge functionality. And sometimes you feel like you are battling with the tech giants when you're developing internal solutions. But sometimes it just needs to serve you until another enterprise-friendly solution is ready. So our internal ChatGPT was not a long-term intended thing. It was to give us an enterprise solution while there were no enterprise solutions. The whole generative AI started in consumer-facing, and it took some years before the enterprise-friendly versions got there.
Yeah.
So,
what would be your final advice to the listeners out there that are maybe struggling with something like, I think, the individual mastery versus the collective learnings? What do you think would be what's the one thing that they should focus on?
We haven't found this sort of the solution to this collective learning, but I think it is key that we figure a way to make sure that the A team's knowledge and experiences are transferred to the B team. We need to really close that gap, or at least keep it constant, and being really aware of your strategic approach to this. Are you going all defensive just trimming your cost base, or are you actually actively fence guarding part of your portfolio for doing explorative things? I see too many places where it's just sort of it happened, and you just have a portfolio, and no one really actively manage that portfolio and say, okay, we want 80% focus here and 20 here. So being aware of your strategic approach. Are you going offensive? Are you going defensive? Battling AI with the right empowerment. We don't want shadow AI. We are an enterprise. We need to protect our data, our customers. If as a consultant, if you lose the trust of your customers, that's a catastrophic one. So that is really key to make sure that data is treated with the utmost respect, and that means that you need to be on top of your shadow AI all the way. As I just said, combination of carrot and strict policies, but not going too strict, because then you're introducing risk. So the right balance. So, but it's no one knows the right way forward. But this is some of the things that work quite well so far.
But battling shadow AI or misuse of AI with empowerment, I think that's a nice way to end the podcast. Thank you very much, Kenneth.
Yeah,
that was a pleasure.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
Thank you.